Step 7. See into the future. Welcome to the very last step of the 7-step mindset makeover. Congratulations on making it this far. We've covered so much ground, and I'm so proud of you for all the mindset shifts you've had so far, and excited about the resulting changes you're going to see in your life. Now, in this last episode, we're going to shift our focus to the future and put your powerful new mindset to work as we look at what you need to focus on and what you need to let go of if you want to make your best, most brilliant life your reality. I'll also explain why you shouldn't think of your goals as the be-all and end-all and show you where to put your attention instead. Most people spend more time working out where they want to go on holiday than they spend working out what they want from their life. But the life you want to be living won't just happen. You need to define, design, and plan for the life you want to make sure it's the one you end up living. If you want to live a happy and fulfilling life, you need to know what one looks like. I've always been a positive, motivated person, but there was a time when I didn't feel like I was living my best life. It all came to a head during a time that I now call my quarter-life crisis. At the time, my life looked really good on paper. I had a well-paying job and a nice boyfriend. I'd bought a house, a convertible, and a lot of gorgeous shoes. I went on great holidays, and my life was definitely looking good from the outside. Unfortunately, on the inside, things didn't feel so great. I felt like I was living someone else's life. Someone else's good life, but someone else's life all the same. I didn't like my job. I felt lonely when I was with my boyfriend. And my shoe habit was really just another form of self-medication. A healthier one than some, but still very expensive. I realised that the life I was living wasn't one I'd consciously created. Sure, there were parts of it that I'd worked very hard towards, but there were other aspects that I had let just happen. I also realised that if I wanted to live a more fulfilling life, I was going to have to stop waiting for the things I wanted to happen and start being much more intentional about what my life contained. And so I began to redesign my life. The changes weren't instant, but over the next few years I went from earning good money in a full-time job to multiple 6-figure contracts. I worked for the companies of my choice, the hours I wanted, and took the holidays I needed. I left my boyfriend and met my soulmate. I moved cities, and at times it felt like I moved mountains. I lost weight, felt great, and knew that I was definitely living my best life. The first thing I want you to know is that living a happy and fulfilling life doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. I didn't just go through this process once, and it's not by accident that so far I've managed to avoid both a mummy crisis and a midlife one. At the height of my corporate career, I was an in-demand troubleshooter. I was being paid incredibly well, and the work was seriously challenging. But it was also all-consuming. As I started thinking about the next phase of life that I was about to enter, marriage and hopefully one day a family, I knew that the work I was doing wasn't compatible with what I wanted from my future life. I went back to basics and started to think about what I wanted from my life and how it would need to change if I was to remain happy and fulfilled. I left the corporate world, completed my professional coaching certification, and began my life as a small business owner. Life was really good, but when my son started school, running a small business began to feel too small for my ambitions, and so I consciously redesigned my life once again. When I look back at the last 25 years since that quarter-life crisis, I know I'm deeply happy with my life. It isn't perfect. There are plenty of things I could improve or change, but it is happy and fulfilling because that is the intention I have set for it. But setting an intention isn't like setting your Alexa alarm clock. You can't set it and forget it. You need to continually and consistently make decisions that support your intention, decisions that take you closer to making your intention your reality. Before you get started on setting those intentions, I want you to give up on any ideas you have about achieving perfection. So many people spend their lives either chasing after perfection and feeling disillusioned when they can't find it, or drifting along without seeking anything and then wondering why they never discover it. Regardless of what you see on social media, there's no such thing as a perfect life. You don't need to do it all, be it all, or have it all to have a happy and fulfilling life. All you need are the things that matter most to you. Everything else is just the trimming. It's how you decorate your life. In every rich and rewarding life, there will be successes and failures, good days and bad ones, things that you love about your life, and things that you wish you didn't need to accept. Instead of focusing on all the different ways you could improve or change your life, shift your attention to all that is good about your life. That doesn't mean you can't work to make it even better. Over the last 25 years, I've worked on improving my life continually. But instead of making these changes or improvements your primary focus, make them secondary to all that is already good about your life instead. I've mentioned your values at various points throughout this podcast series, but I can't understate the importance of taking the time to fully understand them. Your values are the DNA of your soul. They are the key to what matters most to you in life. Everyone has their own unique combination of values. They form part of our character and heavily influence the choices we make throughout life. Your values are the answer to the question, what matters most to you in life? Some people think that they already know the answer to this question, and they confidently list family, friends, love, money, and health as their values. But to really understand your values, you need to dig a whole lot deeper than that. You need to go beyond generic values and start to get really specific about exactly what it is about your family, friends, children, money, or health that is most important to you. By far the most common thing I hear when I teach people about values, whether it's people who've bought my personal happiness prescription course or students in one of my in-depth training programs, it's that they've never given their values that much thought. I even remember one woman telling me that although she knew her company values off by heart, she had no idea what her own values were. Before you can create the life you really want, one that is happy and fulfilling for you, you need to know what matters most to you, what's important in your life, and what you can happily live without. Once you know the answer to this, you can make those values front and center in your life. Once you're clear on what your values are, not only will it be easier to work out what you really want, it will be a whole lot easier to know what you don't want and to understand why you don't want it. Just like that old life I described at the beginning of this episode, lots of things can look good. But until you've identified your values, you have no real way of knowing if they're going to feel good to you. If knowing what you don't want is going to be a positive and useful piece of information, not just an opportunity to whinge or make knee-jerk changes in your life, then it's important to be very clear on why you don't want it. Understanding the real reason why something is not a part of your ideal future can be invaluable, saving you from chasing unfulfilling objectives and freeing up your time and energy to focus on what is really going to make you happy. You've already detoxed your dreams in step 1, so I shouldn't need to remind you that there is no place for could, should, or have to in your vision for your future. Make sure that the ideal life you are creating doesn't include things you feel like you ought to be doing to keep other people happy or to fulfill some outdated idea of what your adult life should look like. This is your opportunity to start creating your best, most brilliant life, so make sure that you leave all the influences of your childhood, family, or current work environment behind. The next thing I'm about to say might sound counterintuitive, but I want you to stop chasing your goals. Wait a minute, I hear you say, you're a coach. Aren't you all about goals? But here's the thing. From a young age, We are told that we need to set goals and achieve them if we want to live a happy and successful life. But the reality is most people fail to achieve their goals most of the time, and it doesn't feel good. We blame ourselves for lacking motivation, commitment, or staying power. But what if we are not the problem? What if the real problem lies with the nature of goals themselves, how we set them, when we set them, and why we set them? I call this focus on goal achievement and the resulting sense of failure so many people experience the goal myth. And I believe that buying into this myth causes you stress, erodes your self-esteem, and ultimately leaves you feeling bad about yourself. I want to be clear here. I'm not anti-goal. What I'm anti is focusing on your goals as if they're the be-all and end-all. What I would like to see everyone do is put their goals back in their rightful place, as just one of the many tools available to help you get what you really want. Smart goals have their place, but the goalification of ideas, ambitions, and things that don't really need this structure only serves to undermine, demotivate, or demoralize the person who is working towards them. The majority of the time when you set smart goals, they are simply a best guess of what is possible. And yet people hold themselves accountable to them as if your success was guaranteed and the only explanation for any resulting failure is yourself. While achieving your goals can be motivating in the short term, failing to achieve your goals is demotivating in equal measure. Instead of focusing all your energy on your goals, you need to think about your intention, your bigger picture, your why. Once you know what your intentions are, you can then set goals, create habits, and complete tasks that will bring those intentions to life. I feel so strongly about this approach, this shift in focus from goals to intentions, that I developed an entire process around it called the intention method. And now I train people both in how to apply it to their own life and how to teach others to change their approach too. When you focus your attention on your intentions, you will have much greater clarity, much deeper confidence, and much stronger commitment, and it will help you to keep moving forwards regardless of any highs or lows you might experience along the way. Being clear about your vision, values, and intentions won't just help you create your future. It will be of great benefit to the life you're living today. So the next thing I want you to do is make the decision to bring your vision to life today. Instead of waiting for some perfect day in the future or for the stars to align before you can start living your ideal life, look at the essence of your ideal future and incorporate small aspects of that into your life right now. In your vision, you might live in a home filled with fresh flowers. Bringing that future closer to your present might be as simple as spending the money you would normally spend on a bottle of wine or a few drinks after work on a bunch of flowers from the supermarket. If your ideal future includes travelling the world and visiting different cultures, you can start by eating out in culturally diverse neighbourhoods in your hometown, like Chinatown or Little Italy, or by taking a cooking course so you can master your favourite foreign cuisine. Many of the changes you can make to bring your life closer to your vision won't cost you very much. You might need to invest in a little extra planning and effort, but these simple actions can have an amazing impact on your sense of fulfillment in your present life. They can also help encourage and motivate you to keep working towards creating your ideal future. I've never believed in saving up your best ideas for your bucket list, your list of things you want to do before you die, before you kick the bucket. I say, why wait? I'm not suggesting you sell your house or quit your job, although if those options are the right next step for you, then go right ahead. But waiting until your life is nearly over to do the things that are important or exciting to you, quite frankly, is just ludicrous to me. Instead of saving up your biggest hopes and dreams for some far-off point in the future, think about how you can bring that timeline forward and fulfill them sooner rather than later. The last thing I want you to do as you see into the future is to take full responsibility for creating your best, most brilliant life. Being happy and fulfilled is the ideal way to live, but it's not something you can just wish for. If this is what you want from your life, you're going to need to commit to creating it. Realizing that you're the only one responsible for your life can feel both exhilarating and terrifying. If it's up to you, there'll be no one else you can blame. But likewise, you now know that no one else can stop you either. Take the time to understand what you don't want from life, but don't waste your time or energy focusing on it. Put your energy to better use by concentrating on the vision you have for the life you do want, and your plan to make that vision your reality. Stop waiting for the life you want to appear. Make the commitment each and every day to making it happen. When you hold clear intentions about what your life needs in order to be a happy and fulfilling one, it becomes easier to know what goals to set, habits to create, and action to take to make those intentions and your best, most brilliant life your reality. David is an entrepreneur in his mid-40s. For our final coaching session from the 7-Step Mindset Makeover, David joined me to discuss his biggest lightbulb moments and takeaways from Step 7, See into the Future.
One of the key takeaways for me is there's no such thing as a perfect life. So I should aim for a brilliant one instead. Look, now as the Mindset Makeover is ending, I'm going to spend a lot of time on Step 7. I'm going to really set my intentions, then circle back to Step 1 and, go through it all over again, just to make sure I can identify what things I can modify in my life to really make sure I'm living my best life. Then I can move forward with my newly designed, defined and planned best life, because it won't just happen. I do have to work on it, which is something I haven't done in the past. There's no point just dreaming or focusing on what is a perfect life, because it doesn't exist. I've often been plagued by chasing perfection, and many times I've felt disillusioned by not getting it or finding it. And now I've realised that many of these goals have been driven by financial numbers, and the fact that I haven't achieved them left me feeling empty and at times, like a failure. But I have to think about my true values. Are goals driven by financial ambitions really what matters to me? Being a perfectionist by nature, I've wanted everything to work out exactly as I wanted and planned. And even though I've had good things, opening my own fitness club and making it successful, there's just still something missing. I now realise my values are not tied to things that are purely financially driven. Step 7 has allowed me to refocus on what I really want. I've identified 5 clear intentions and realised my main values are about family, friends and loved ones. About allocating more quality time with them, doing simple things. Because ultimately, that's what makes me more happy in my real life. Chasing an illusion will get me nowhere. I've got to live with intention.
We're almost at the end of the 7-Step Mindset Makeover. I'll recap everything we've covered in a moment. But before we do, let's look at the most important lessons in Step 7, See into the Future. 1. Living your best, most brilliant life won't happen by accident. It happens when you set clear intentions. 2. There is no such thing as a perfect life, so give up on perfection and focus on living a happy and fulfilling life. 3. Take time to understand your values, the things that matter most to you. 4. Get clear about what you don't want so you don't waste any time chasing it. 5. Don't fall for the goal myth. It's time to stop thinking that your goals are the be-all and end-all and start focusing on your intentions instead. 6. Instead of waiting for some perfect day in the future, bring your vision to life with small, easy changes you can make right away. And lastly, but most importantly, 7. The only person responsible for your life is you, and you've got this. Well, that brings us close to the end of the 7-step mindset makeover. Over the course of this podcast, you've learned 7 essential mindset shifts that will lead you to a happier and more fulfilling life. In step 1, we started by detoxing your dreams so you can reclaim the energy you've been wasting beating yourself up about dreams you haven't achieved. Then, in step 2, you learned how to discover your no and create a new mindset that supports your boundaries, helps you to say no when you need to, and eliminates the guilt that so often goes with it. Step 3 saw you mastering the mindset art of choosing your mood. You now know how to set yourself up to have a good day every day, regardless of what is going on in your life. In step 4, I taught you how to ignore the voices of negativity so you can stop worrying about what everyone else thinks or says about you and your life and shift your focus to making the most of it. You created an entirely new mindset and understanding about fear and the role it plays in your life in step 5, and now you know exactly how to confront the enemy when you meet it. Step 6 was all about getting out of your own way. In Say Goodbye to Your Butt, I showed you how to leave your excuses behind for once and for all. And lastly, just now in step 7, you learned how to shift your focus to what you really want from life so you can see into the future by setting clear intentions for what you do and don't want. Now that we're at the end of this podcast, I want to thank you for coming on this journey with me. More importantly, I want you to thank you for going on this journey. It will always be easier to have an ordinary life. And as I said right back when we started, most people are fine with fine and okay with okay. I'm so glad you're not. I'm so glad you decided to show up and learn how to create the mindset you need to make living your happiest and most fulfilling life your reality. You deserve to live your best, most brilliant life, not just someday, every day. And by applying the lessons you've learned in this podcast, I'm confident you're well on your way. After listening to this podcast, if you want to go even deeper in understanding what it takes to live your best, most brilliant life, you can check out my best-selling books and audiobooks, the various courses I teach, and my training programs and speaking engagements at dominiquebertolucci.com. If you never got around to downloading the free workbook I created to go with this podcast, you can still access it free at mindsetmakeover.me. I've included summaries of each episode, exercises, journal prompts to help you go deeper, and a few extra goodies. Lastly, I'd love to know what your biggest insights and your favourite mindset shifts have been throughout the 7-step mindset makeover. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Dominique Bertolucci. Pop on over and say hello. Thank you so much for joining me for the 7-step mindset makeover, an Audible original podcast. I hope you've enjoyed listening to it as much as I've enjoyed creating it for you. You have been listening to the 7-step mindset makeover, created and narrated by me, Dominique Bertolucci. Directed by Stephanie von Schilt. Produced at Sound Kitchen, Sydney. An Audible Studios production for Audible Originals. Copyright 2021 by Audible Australia Proprietary Limited. Audible Originals is a division of Audible Australia Proprietary Limited.